the legend, Golden Boy.
Wow, I don't know how I can follow that one up. That was good. I don't know about, you know,
legend.
I'm a
for
man.
Sure.
I'm a man.
You're a legend for sure.
No, I'm a man.
You are
I'm
a
not
legend.
a myth because I live. Legend, you know. I mean, I don't know.
I find you a legend.
Oh, thank you so much. You're a legend in my heart.
Oh, thank you.
You know that? There you go. Look at that. T1 banter. Anyway, so let's talk about this bracket here, folks. Guys, you know, the matches have been incredible today, and you know, again, not to rub salt into the wound, you know, but enemy won. And all you guys looked at me and were like, oh, you're wrong. And here I stand victorious. Because of that victory, they're going to be facing off against Pain Gaming, who had a very interesting matchup against Epsilon. Now, we were talking about this earlier, you know, what Pain could do, and we'll dive into that in a second. But coming up next, our last two games of the broadcast will actually be Isurus Gaming versus OMGB B or OMG B. This is going to prove to be a fun matchup, without a doubt. And then Avant-Garde versus QG Reapers. So those are going to be our last two games. And those are elimination games, people. So whoever loses this, say bye-bye, because their dreams of hoisting up the hammer is over. While the winners live to fight another day, unfortunately, they will be fighting against the likes of Paradigm and Cloud9. So yeah, it's going to be a very tough road for these final 4 teams that we have left in this competition.
Like I said at the start of the day, losing those first round matchups or winning them was so critical, because losing them means you're either out or you're going up against first seeds. So right now, Isurus, I think they looked pretty good, but they're going to be facing off against OMGB, who really struggled against Pain Gaming.
Yeah, they actually were trying to aggress on Pain Gaming, but they couldn't. And Pain just, I think it was the fastest game of today. Actually, it was like 20 minutes or so, and Pain just rolled over them.
Yeah, the Thor and the Circuit combo just didn't really work out for OMGB. Both these teams necessarily losing their matchups really easily. Isurus getting kind of stunned by Epsilon, and OMG losing to Pain pretty heavily.
So this is not only going to be critical, but also a confidence booster for both teams, right? Whoever wins this one will feel rather good, of course, knowing that the challenge ahead is probably going to be their greatest challenge yet. Still, though, they would be in the top 8 of the Smite World Championship. And there you see Isurus Gaming. We saw them at the top of the broadcast. There was a lot of questions coming into it. Can Isurus contend with Epsilon? We found out that was not the case, as they will now be facing off against OMGB. Another thing real quick I just want to talk about real fast is that Epsilon Fnatic matchup that we're going to see tomorrow. Oh, yeah. That's going to be fireworks. That's going to be an insane game, because that was a critical match for Fnatic that they had to win to avoid I would say the hell portion of the bracket with Cloud9 and Epsilon just waiting like sharks in the water.
And Epsilon and Fnatic are scrim partners. They've been scrim partners for the last 3 or 4 months, and that's really what helped Fnatic get over the hump of Paradigm in the regular season. You know, and obviously not Super Regionals, which Paradigm won, but Fnatic got better because Epsilon were scrimming them, and the teams themselves share a lot of private picks and bans and strategies. So that matchup, like you said, is probably going to be pretty crazy. And then, you know, the winner of that potentially having to face Cloud9.
Again, all that stuff will be taking place tomorrow, folks. But for the time being, our eyes are set on Isurus Gaming versus OMGB. So we know a little bit more about these two teams, most namely OMGB, which came with a lot of question marks. We just were not sure. What do you think, Adonis, they need to do here against Isurus Gaming? Isurus has had a lot of time to sit, relax, and collect their thoughts, right, ever since that loss to Epsilon.
Isurus also was able to watch OMG. They knew that the loser of the next match was going to be the team they were going to have to face in the bracket, so I'm sure they did a lot of studying together, and I expect that they're going to come out with probably a strategy similar to Pain, where they're going to allow OMG to kind of be the aggressors, because that just, you know, we saw QG Reapers as well. Like, that's their style. They like running these aggressive style compositions, and I think they're just going to play back and defensive and allow them to come into them. My big thing, though, for Isurus is making sure they do not play scared, because they have been the most fearful of any team. They goose-egged Game 1. They didn't get a single kill against Epsilon, the only team to put up 0 kills so far. So if I'm assuming, you know, they're going to feel a little more confident going against China, but they still, if they play the way they did against Epsilon, they could just lose.
Very true.
Yeah, it's all going to come down to the picks and bans, honestly. If OMGB picks the same way they did last time and they don't get a snowball, because when you go with Thor and Circuit, you're intended to kind of roll with it. And that wasn't part of their game plan. They switched the soul lane with the support, and they kind of like faltered. The Thor was like 5-6 levels behind the enemy tier, and it just didn't really work out.
So, all right. So we have Awareness, who's someone we have to talk about. Again, star player here, playing in the mid. You know, who really enjoys Giannis, and we see what he's capable of doing with that. You know, I guess what do you think is going to be the go-to here? And Anatolia, we'll go to you for Awareness, and then QE, feel free to chime in as well. Do you feel like what kind of god should he go with here? You know, what should they be thinking about versus OMG? And also for OMG, do you think they try and focus on Giannis, or you know, maybe just focus on more meta bans?
Well, like QE mentioned earlier, that Awareness really leans heavily toward Giannis. So if OMG bans Giannis away and he's looking for more of those safe style gods, it's definitely going to be more of the Agni or the tanky Zhang Kui to kind of go forward from there.
I can agree. I would like to see another Agni.
Of course you would.
Yeah. But yeah, I would like to see Agni because it's pretty safe and it has a lot of burst damage.
Okay, okay. So that's going to set things up nice. And then Extt, the Hunter, you know, let's talk about him now, because you are indeed a hunter. So how do you feel about this mix-up with OMG B? Where do you think he stands? Do you think he's going to fare well against him?
I think Extt will do really well against OMGB. I think he can play scared, but he played it really well against Epsilon. Actually, he avoided a Gab ultimate and a Humbat's ultimate with his Hui dash. So.
Okay. Okay.
I'd like to expand upon that. I felt like Extt felt he was the only one playing very well against that Epsilon matchup. I mean, he, like you said, he was getting so much pressure coming out from adapting early on, and adapting actually, you know, ganked his lane 2 or 3 times before 10 minutes, and then had to switch it over because Extt was never dying. And I know you've played against him as well. Is he typically someone who's like gets ganked a lot? Is he very good about playing that counter engage style and defensively?
Yeah, he actually gets ganked a lot, and he knows how to avoid the ganks. He plays really safe and knows what will happen when somebody's coming to.
And China did the same thing as well in their matchup against Pain Gaming. There was a lot of aggression, especially into that red buff and that dual lane early on, so maybe something that Extt can be prepared for.
Yeah, maybe they're going to switch it up a little bit and play aggressive from the very start, level 1. If they go for like some kind of an early aggressive support like Ymir or Ares, we'll see a lot of fireworks early on.
Yeah, but when you imagine, I mean, okay, so do both teams play the aggressive card here? And or knowing that OMG will do this,
yes,
does Isurus have more freedom to decide where they want to go?
I think so, and they also saw how successful Pain was in that defensive counter engage. Kind of it's kind of just like what Enemy did against Fnatic. Let the other team over-aggress, overextend, mess up, start losing farm, and then take small wins off of it to where you have the better composition come late game or mid game and can just roll with it and win.
All right, so folks, without further ado, let's go ahead and get into our next matchup, second to last matchup of today's broadcast, and we have Sean over at the stage.
I am indeed on the stage. How are you guys doing? Ready for this matchup? How are you doing, sir?
我们会全力以赴赢得这场比赛的 OMG fighting.
I'm sure it was powerful. Thank you very much. Sir, what would you like to say?
Good luck to OMG.
Good luck to OMG. Perfect words. Gentlemen, shake hands. Guys, we're about to get this one underway. Are you sure you're ready? Makes me very happy. Looks like these guys are getting ready, so it's in to picks and bans.
All right, here we go, folks. OMG B versus Isurus. Loser goes home. Winner, well, they have quite the tall order in front of them, but they live to fight another day. And this is going to be an interesting matchup because it will be China versus Latin America. And that's fun. I like that.
That's really exciting.
Right? It really lives to the international spirit of this competition.
I mean, you know, Pain Gaming already defeated China here, so we'll have to see if the other South American team could come out on top here. You know, Isurus, I think I favorite them here in this matchup, but you know, China, the region as a whole, has shown that they're willing to do anything in picks and bans and any kind of style, which could really throw off Isurus here, especially at a best of one for elimination.
Yeah, well,
So that's the BlueWhale's Thor goes bye-bye there in the first
That's
ban.
Onur's as well, so banning away from both of neither jungler are going to get that comfort.
We saw the damage that Soul did in that last matchup, so that makes sense. Giannis is goodbye as well, so that means no Giannis there for our mid player, so that's gonna that's gonna suck for him.
I really want to see a
And
Hell
Athena.
over here from OMGB. Like, that's their go-to for Bluefish, and he preferred the Chronos in the first game, and as we do see Bellona being picked here for OMGB.
And so these were actually two of the first matches we saw of the day, and so both these teams got to watch all the other teams compete, take a look at some of the best teams in each region. They saw Fnatic and Enemy play, so this could be them picking up that Bellona, knowing how lane dominant it is.
Yeah, and again, good adapting, right? Just looking at it.
He's on Epsilon.
Clearly. And there goes Zeus as well for Isurus. We saw Zeus get banned out earlier. But this time around, we'll make a stand here for Isurus.
Awareness actually values Zeus really high. He played a lot of Zeus in back on the regionals.
All right, and Khepri also gets locked in here. And we've seen how important Khepri has been throughout this day.
And I like the Khepri pickup along with the Zeus. Zeus is that god that does so much damage, but super squishy mage with no escape, so you want to pair it with a Geb or an Athena or a Khepri, something that's very defensive. Between Geb and Khepri, I'm taking the guy with the revive, so Isurus make sure to lock that in, something to protect their main carry with.
That revive has been very clutch, but here comes the Neith and Xing pick up here potentially for
I like the
OMG.
Neith pick to focus on Zeus because Zeus is really squishy and don't have a real escape, and so burst damage on Zeus is the best way you can do it with him.
So it looks like we're going to have probably a Bellona jungle, unless that's a Xing support. Mercury being highlighted here for Isurus Gaming, and it is being locked in. This is going to be the first time that Mercury is played in this tournament. It was banned in one of the games, but hasn't seen any playing time until now.
I like that Crotus ban, but they're also leaving Hell open, and we know Bluefish, that's his other god. It's Hell and Chronos, and Hell right now has a lot of protection on his team. He has the Neith, so he has the global in that dual lane to make sure he stays alive from ganks. The Bellona, a big AoE stun, big protection buff, and then Xing, you know, not the best peeler, but can deal with the opponent's back line so they can't dive as efficiently.
Chronos gets banned out here for Isurus Gaming. Let's see what OMG decides to go with. And okay, so Sobek is going to get dropped here.
A very safe solo laner. Probably something that I'm assuming the Xing doesn't want to deal with. Now the question is, where's that Bellona going? Is that Bellona going to jungle, you think?
Well, with the Sobek ban, it leads me to believe that the Bellona is going to be solo lane, Xing is going to be the support. So to avoid the Sobek versus Bellona matchup, they just banned that away. Chiron being hovered over here, and
yes, thank God, finally.
Chiron getting locked in.
QE, you're loving the Chiron.
Dude, I love Chiron. My favorite god.
It's your favorite god?
Wait, but Agni, man.
Yeah, second favorite god.
Okay, see, caught you in a lie. Caught you in your web of lies.
Next time.
Next time.
On stage, playing, you know, not at the analyst because you got knocked out. You can play Chiron.
Oh, and
Agni
Isis
Yeah,
and Hunbatz is going to get. We've seen what Hunbatz has done throughout this competition, folks. Awesome god to be using. So I guess that answers your question about where Bellona is going to be going.
Solo.
Yeah. And last but not least, Tier. We've seen Tier picked up quite a bit, favored a lot. So a good picks and bans, guys. Let's go ahead, lightning round. Who do you think is going to take it?
Isurus.
Isurus?
Yeah, I'm going to lean a little bit towards Isurus with the Khepri. And
I'm going to go Isurus as well. Are you gonna be the spoiler?
I'm going with OMG.
Right.
Let's go. Because you know what? I know what I'm talking about, Bart, you freaking liar. Okay, so that's going to do it, folks. It should be a great matchup. Our second to last matchup of the day. OMGB versus Isurus Gaming. Who will come out on top? Who will live to fight another day? Casters, take it here.
Thank you very much, Alex. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the commentary desk. Just a couple more games to play here on the PC side today. I am Bart, joined by Extt and Zapman immediately to my left, as you've seen a couple times today, guys. And this one is going to be an interesting one. It's China going up against Latin America here, OMGB versus Isurus Gaming. What do we think is going to happen in this matchup? I mean, the teams have come in. They're relatively standard compositions, generally speaking, from what we've seen so far earlier in the tournament. Who do you think has the edge? Who are we liking?
I mean, honestly, I think this one's going to be pretty close, especially comparatively speaking to some of the other matches that we've seen.
Okay.
Which is exciting because we get to see, two different regions come against each other. Isurus looked very strong, but maybe a little timid. OMGB was anything but timid. So I think that aggression coming out from the Chinese side will give them an advantage.
Yeah, my biggest thing is that we're finally seeing Mercury, a pick that's regarded by most players as a really strong pick. And this is the first time we're going to see him in this tournament. We'll see what he can do.
And we saw Onur. He did struggle a little bit in their first game, but granted they were going up against well, one of the favorites for
Epsilon
the tournament as a whole. So,
oh, look at this grouping.
Yeah, I don't think we're going to see a fight. I don't think, generally speaking, teams are too keen to fight into a Khepri at level 1 just because everyone has all that temporary HP from the shield. But still, you see Bluefish tossing out some little bit of love out of the wing gust.
Just some poke. And everything was just sort of, really the reason everybody groups up is so that we can drop the wards. You see the vision on the left side of the map, and there's really no penalty for that.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes you get lucky. You know, I mean, they're going up as 5. Maybe they catch one guy warding, by themselves, getting a little greedy, and
it looks like all of our teams are pretty determined to not make that specific mistake. We've seen pretty much exclusively 5-man roam in the start through the first 30 seconds of the game to get those wards down. Everyone recalls the base regardless of the poke, and we'll go ahead and start out this red buff here. We'll take a look at OMGB's start, as it looks like Santor is going to be drawing the aggro here onto the Xing.
The Xing playing in the support role. It's actually something interesting that we've seen come out here tonight, and it's not something that's pretty traditional. Xing has really made an identity for himself over in the solo lane, but what he's able to bring to the long lane is a little bit of little similar to what Ares brings, right?
Yeah, I mean, he has 3 damaging abilities, so he's able to provide an Onur or a Neith with that extra damage to actually get that kill.
Ooh. Keeping that chain lightning there as the Isis off the last minion, but we'll be fine. Zeus does not have detonate just yet to put out Spirit Ball to finish off the archers there. And while you see just how powerful the Zeus is, Isis for a long time considered the kind of the best and the optimal mid laner for clear. Zeus having his way. Here we go. Extt not going to find the knockback onto Chiron, but you see just how dangerous this lane can be.
Love the play out of Neith right there, just playing defensive enough for, again, Xing is support, but right here this is a very aggressive lane, so Neith is able to do a little bit of the support side as well.
Yeah, I mean, Chiron and Khepri are really aggressive lane, but Xing is super safe having 2 leaps.
It's actually interesting here. You take a look at Chiron and Khepri, and there's 2 very defined roles. The Hugbug picks up Santorski. But he's going to be all right there.
It's fine. Luo able to put out a couple shots to dissuade them from moving forward too much, but still a lot of HP ticked away off of the Xing.
Yeah, I love the aggression coming out from Extt. He really wants to show his Chinese counterparts that he's not afraid, and he is looking to make plays this game. Yeah,
and again, touching upon the roles, there's very defined roles, right? Chiron's aggressive, and Khepri protects that. Here on the side of OMG, they're sharing it, right? Neith is aggressive, but she also has to be defensive as well. Same thing with Xing. He's the support, but he's going to be aggressive. So it's more balanced on the side of the blue squad. Does that give them an advantage? The fact that both teams, the fact that both players have the option?
Yeah, I mean, well, the one thing that gives the advantage in this lane is Khepri's passive, right? He gets a little shield every 10 seconds, 13 seconds.
Right.
And with that way, he sustains a lot of the poke compared to his counterparts in the lane.
Zach, tell me a little bit about how Neith and Chiron are going to stack up against each other when they're both sitting on 4 or 5 items around 25 to 30 minutes in this game. Who's got the advantage in the late game?
I mean, they're both pretty even. They have no attack speed steroid. They both have sustain, Chiron in his passive, and Neith in her Unravel, in her 2 ability. So it really depends who's hitting their skill shots and who's hitting it more consistently.
Seems like Chiron probably has the advantage just in the raw 1v1 with the ultimate, but besides that, in team fights, they're pretty equal.
Chiron should win the 1v1, but Neith does have that global presence, which makes her a little bit better when it's 1v1.
6 and 1 up dozen the other. It seems like between these 2 here, Extt doing what he can to keep this wave from pushing in too far, but it doesn't look like the Neith Xing has been able to really aggressively push us in. What do you think about both hunters in this case going for Transcendence openings?
To me, that spells out that they want to be aggressive. If they were going to go for the more passive, tanky build in the Soul Eater, they pretty much just want to farm. But if going Transcendence means they want to use their abilities a lot, as much as they can, I'm sure we're going to see both hunters looking to rotate and make plays early.
Exactly, and I always like Neith being built with the Transcendence, honestly, because it just gives more oomph to that ultimate, and the more damage you can put on that ultimate means the less damage you have to deal across the map, so the smallest opportunities can be made into larger ones.
And, well, of course, it'll also give both of these hunters effectively infinite mana for most of the team fighting stage. Transcendence does provide a tremendous amount of mana out of this item, especially once finished and fully stacked. You don't get much more damage out of it, but you get a ton of mana. Oh, the first fight breaking out here. Extt in a lot of trouble on the Chiron. Will have a dash of his ultimate available as well. Has to find a kill to revive. Will not. And Santorsky will get the first blood here. Logitech first blood going to the way of OMGB.
What an interesting interaction here. We haven't really seen Chiron play it a lot, but it seemed like the Chiron ult took the priority over the Khepri ult. So as soon as Chiron ult was finished, even though the Khepri ult was on him, he ended up dying.
Right, and these are the little things. These are the interactions that you sort of have to know when you're at this level of play. And maybe a little bit of a panic there on the side, but you have to be aware of how these things work together. Great dodge right there coming out of the solo laner on OMG.
Wow.
Double stun with the up and down. She wants to fight. Bellona not going to be ganked this time around.
That is the solo laner's ultimate, the up and down. And big shout out to MM there. I mean, the sidestep god there. He just hits A and just gets all out of the way of NOzwer's incoming Fearless.
Yeah, I mean, 9 out of 10 Bellona players they would have ultied away.
Yep.
But MM, knowing his character front and back, made the right play there.
And that right there, that's exactly what we're just talking about, knowing the intricacies and just how much damage that Bellona can take, getting the double stun, and then, you know, the stick-with-itness to stay there and decide to go the 2v1. Yeah.
You know, you said it's the little things with that Khepri and Chiron interaction there. It's also the little things that are making somebody on the development staff like really like, oh no, it's that, no, uh-oh. Yeah, you have Pon out there somewhere like, oh, I think that's a bug.
He's making a ready throw right now.
We know. OMGB here, though, with the early advantage through 5 minutes. They've garnered, about 1,100 gold lead. The experience, however, still in favor of Isurus. How is this the case?
They're just farming better. They're grouping up better, sharing buffs a little bit better than OMG.
But, like, you know, you get 800 gold on top of that 300 gold bounty for First Blood going the way of Oh My God. And we're still waiting. You know, how is Isurus going to really affect this one? I mean, they're continuing to pull ahead in experience, in fact, as they've just done a better job of, I think you mentioned, I mean, really exploiting Bumba's mask there's got to be the
Exactly.
answer.
Yeah, I really
experience share.
Exactly, experience share, and I really want to see this Mercury either make a play for the Isis or the Neith. I really think he can make a play there. He can kill them pretty easily, especially with Khepri ult making it safe.
I just want to see Mercury have an impact at all.
Here we go. He's actually going for the dual lane.
Yeah, he's looking for the play here, and you'll notice the Mercury in the top left part of the mini map looking to find an ultimate from behind his tier 1, but Neith is farming out the back camp. You know, we'll see how much patience that we have over here on the side of Onur if he's willing to wait for the Neith to come back to lane to try to set things up with Chiron.
Meanwhile, OMG looking towards the mid lane. Ultimate comes down onto the Zeus, but the hug bug saves the day. Stunned from around the way, gets the monkey out of trouble. Bluefish helping out BlueWhale.
And just like that, Mercury pulled off of the dual lane, will not find that kill, nor will there be a kill going the way of BlueWhale. I mean, what was that play? That was like BlueWhale didn't really have a good shot of killing him there. It seemed like it was almost entirely like just trying to get beads and force out some poke.
Yeah, exactly. And also, that's the danger of Zeus. If you don't kill him right away, he's going to instantly turn, throw out his shield, bounce it off, and probably one-shot you.
It's actually interesting there because I think what happened there was a quick audible. It looked like the blink out of Batz was shorter than he intended, so the ultimate wasn't kill potential.
Couldn't push away from the tower.
Exactly. I think they were looking for the kill, but credit to OMG, they immediately noticed that they weren't able to because of the short blink. So what they do is they get what they can, they get the beads, they get the ult, they walk away, but more importantly, they take the jungler away from the gank on the dual lane side. They force him in the mid lane.
Oh, that was, I mean, Luo.
Yeah.
That's a play right there. I mean, basically, he throws out that backflip. It's a little bit extra damage. Really, it just means there's no retaliation from Chiron, not even with his effectively free damage.
Yeah, it seems like Extt is kind of forcing his aggression a little bit too much, running into the Neith while she has her Spirit Arrow up. It's just asking to get poked.
And here we're going to see a little more aggression. BlueWhale, the enemy side of the jungle, looking for that purple buff. It's successful.
Jeez.
But OMG doesn't want to test the water.
Extt gonna have a hard time in this lane. Santorsky gonna go for the ultimate there. Gonna get pulled back by Betony now. And here comes the Mercury ultimate as well. And there's the kill. I'm sorry, the first kill on the board for Isurus does go credited to Extt there, who sneaks in a single in hand to find that kill through all the ultimates.
And that is a kill that's going to help him out a lot. He was falling way behind the Neith.
Yeah, look at that. I mean, even just the stacks that he's going to get now as a result of just a little bit more gold coming in. I mean, he's about, what, 20 stacks or so behind the Neith. Granted, he does have the beads one online, but that early death slowed down that transcendence timing, very considerably.
And one of the things that it's so scary to really rotate out of that dual lane. I'm sure you know that because it's so easy to just, well, I missed a little bit of this. MM's going to push a little bit.
He was looking for the stun there, get a little bit more poke out on the tier, maybe force him back if he could. As the blue buffs are coming up, looking to make that play is Bellona. Yeah, that's going to be a blink in for an extra hit. And it did look like that one crit, but in the meantime, BlueWhale, no, not going to take any damage out of the Zeus shield. Wing Gus going to stop the minions in their tracks, and OMGB continues to pressure the mid lane.
But yeah, so that rotation out of Extt, I mean, that's a gamble. If you don't get that kill, you're losing so much.
Yeah, I mean, if you this early in the game, one wave is so important. You know, you can't afford to miss it. That's why rotating is definitely very scary, especially in the early game.
OMG, they're hunting on the right side of the map. I believe they are standing on an Isurus ward. NOzwer knows this is going on. BlueWhale now finds himself stuck between three. The leap comes out. He's in some trouble. Bede's going to be used. He'll get rooted as well. Where is the tier follow-up? It looks like NOzwer's a little bit hesitant to go in there. He'll only hit out with the cleave there. I mean, they had an opportunity maybe to make a play on the BlueWhale, but still not going to find the kill.
Yeah, what a nice play by BlueWhale there. He just made that little slight sidestep, and it made tier misses fearless.
Second time now.
Yeah, we noticed that also in the short lane by MM. It's really the tier pick is strong, and you're able to really nail it, but not from the front. OMG is noticing what's happening, and they're just able to dance around this tier a little bit. If Isurus wants their solo laner to make more of an impact, he needs to be a little bit more sneaky and surprised, come around from the backside maybe.
Well, guys, we're approaching the 10-minute mark elapsed in this game. OMG holding the gold lead at 1,200. It's been fairly stagnant there, and experience moving back and forth as the teams pick up the camps and farm out the lane minions, effectively even there in the XP graphs. 1 kill apiece as well, and well, looks like you might as well buckle your seatbelt in, guys. This one's looking like it's going to go pretty late, considering how passive this early game has been.
And the later this game goes, the more powerful that Mercury is going to get.
And the Zeus.
And the Zeus. Look for Mercury to be one-shotting either the Neith or the Isis pretty easily.
Exactly. You take a look at the compositions here, and OMG, I mean, everybody wants a Bellona on their team. Late game, early game, mid game, doesn't really matter. But you take a look at everybody else. I mean, Neith, Isis, these are gods that are fantastic, but they're not exactly these late game powerhouses like a 2-shot out of Mercury or Zeus just, you know, hitting the detonate and getting a triple, right?
Definitely. Isurus definitely has the way better late game team comp, especially with that Khepri keeping them Mercury alive.
Yeah.
So, I mean, how much advantage does OMG need going into the mid stage of this game? I mean, do they need to get on the horse now and really, you know, start building that advantage, or do they have a little bit of time to play with still?
No, they really need to get on the horse. They really need to start making plays with that Neith ult. I haven't really seen any gank attempts with that Neith ult yet.
Well, here's one gank attempt.
And Tortsky, yeah, no, indeed. He's just going to get beads away by the Zeus. He's going to lock him down underneath the tower, but not even Xing can dive a Zeus early game underneath the tier 1. He's just going to get exploded. So one ultimate expended, still 9 up on the map. BlueWhale takes a bit of poke from Extt, as well as Isurus will look to defend their purple buff.
That's a lot of poke on a BlueWhale. Beautiful jump away from the hug bug, and now Betony in a little bit of trouble. There's a Zeus ultimate. Zeus in some trouble himself. 1-2 punch. BlueWhale off of the Neith assist to get the kill.
That Neith ultimate couldn't have come at a better time. Zeus was about to put the damage out. The Extt, he's going to get walked down as well. Chiron, once he dashes away, there's really not much you can do to self-heal.
And now these are the kind of plays OMG need to make with their early game team comp here.
I mean, you ask and they perform.
And they delivered.
That's exactly as we said. That's what OMG needs to do now. They're a little bit ahead by about maybe 2,000 gold, give or take. And this is where they have the position to. They have 1 foot ready to go, and they're looking for the next one right here in the middle lane, forcing Tier to jump, followed up by 1 more jump. Not enough to dive the tower quite this early. But OMG, this is exactly where they want to be right now.
I'm a little surprised that OMG didn't go and pressure Gold Fury there with 2 members down. Extt in addition to awareness, Zeus ultimate factoring very heavily into the Gold Fury. Maybe a little bit of sign of you know how advanced these Western teams are that we've seen. I mean, still a younger scene over in Latin America, Brazil, and China.
Yeah, I mean, all you really need is a slight window to take off that Gold Fury. Ever since it was introduced that the Gold Fury started scaling from the early game to the late game, it's a lot easier to do the Gold Fury in the early game and a lot easier to sneak it.
Especially when you have the Circle of Protection and Isis. This is one of the classic examples of a god that is sometimes picked with the early Gold Fury specifically in mind. Yeah. The ultimate out of Isis just makes it so difficult to really come back.
Yeah, the Isis ult plus the Neith root into her weave would do probably half of the HP of the Gold Fury at this stage of the game.
Well, not going to go for it there. Not going to look to push advantages OMG. And what we've heard the analysts say kind of repeatedly throughout the event when referencing especially this Chinese team is that their objective secure is probably their weakest point. And so maybe they're just kind of playing to their known weakness in this case and not trying to do too much. But Extt is going to run down Hun bots nice and easy there. And there's a good example of the strength of Chiron. You know, you get a single target in a corridor, and you can hit 3 or 4 hands on the way in.
Yeah, a little surprising that BlueWhale held his ult there. Maybe could have used it to secure his escape.
To be fair, I mean, China's had significantly less time with Chiron.
True.
Than perhaps Latin America or especially North America. And, you know, maybe it's just a lack of familiarity with the god. They're not really expecting him to be able to walk him down that easily.
Yeah. It's also, I mean, from a jungler's perspective, right? Hun Batz, we have some damage in the mid lane. That's a stun and not quite done. Up for the side, MM. Misses the dash, but one more.
That'll do it.
Bop.
But still, I mean, that's a lot of abilities used to pick up a tier who is not necessarily the best target for that. Mercury's going to move across, but there's no real follow-up from the team. Yeah, we want to resume. And in we go. I mean, this fight's continuing to break out on the left side here. Bellona's going to try to zone out the team. Looks like Neith is continuing to box the Zeus. They're trying to walk down awareness.
There it is.
Yeah, they're going to find awareness. In fact, Luo's going to get that kill. Extt in a lot of trouble here. Xing going to find everybody and toss them back, waiting for the Khepri ultimate. No, BlueWhale jumps the gun just a bit there. But in the meantime, they do pick up Betony, trying to leap away. Not going to go over the wall from Onur, but that's still not enough. Luo is credited with the triple and looking for a quadra, but not going to find the pin onto Onur. And that still will break this game open for OMG. A couple thousand gold. Where's the objective off the back of it?
Yeah, and actually, Isurus did a sneaky play while OMG were fighting the tier in the mid lane. They snuck a Gold Fury in.
Yeah, we did just miss that. Yeah, Gold Fury was picked up, and that is going to prevent this from being a tremendous gold and experience advantage in favor of OMG. You see those graphs drop straight down on the right side.
Very, very crafty play as well. And you know, before that all started, I was getting onto a mention, talking about Batz and not using that ultimate defensively. Batz largely is just a Fear No Evil bot, right? There's other things that he can do damage-wise, but it's really all about that Fear No Evil. Dropping a defensive ultimate out of Batz is demoralizing almost. It's really an awful feeling because of what if I had that ult? Well, you take a look at OMG, that's what happens if he has that ult. Let's take a second look at it right here.
Show it to me, Intel. Here we go. This is Luo's triple kill. Gold Fury has gone down. He'll walk down awareness here. Looks like he must find the route through the wall. This is about where we left him on the main screen. There it is. In addition to the Bellona, back going to seal the deal there. Yeah, style points out of Luo. You hear the admiration of the North American hunter here in Zatman. That's an easy kill on to Betony, on the old Khepri, and one final unravel over the wall. And it didn't even look at the explosion. That's big time style right there. Not going to be able to find the Mercury, but still a triple kill credited. And it hasn't stopped just yet. Mercury going to move through 3, but not before his support dies. That ultimate did come out fairly well, but Onur has no mana or team to follow it up. Shooting off the astral, well, they're not called astral arrows, but hell, they're astral arrows out of Extt there. They get the Chiron ultimate on the back of it as well. Only 2 ultimates remaining. Betony, of course, is dead, and just NOzwer's is up. This is a good opportunity for OMG to push if they're able to recognize this.
Doesn't look like they're going to go in that direction, though, Bart. They're just going to head spread out and really force their lane advantage here. That's very different from what we see. OMG, it seems like we keep talking about how they aren't really finding those objectives after the fights, but they're finding the lane pressure after those fights.
BlueWhale Hun bots waiting in the wings, waiting for Extt to move up, and he will not. Sniffed out nicely there by the enemy hunter. Nice game presence coming out from Extt.
Yeah, but this is definitely smart by OMG. They want to focus where they're the strongest, right? And Neith has 3 levels, or actually 4 levels on the enemy Chiron. They need to focus on that duo lane and get those towers down.
Yeah, and you know, stop giving up triple kills to the enemy carry. That's really a lot of why she's so powerful, right? I mean, it wasn't like her laning phase was up, she was abusing Extt that whole time. I mean, that's purely just Luo picking up a triple and continuing with a sound and safe itemization on the Neith.
And this is when Neith is really at her scariest, is when she's
wait. I'm sorry, let me check that. This is Chiron building Soul Eater before boots. That's what happened.
Yeah.
That's where this level advantage came from.
That's a lot of damage that he's missing out that the Neith had in those crucial team fights.
Exactly, and you know, it's very easy to say that, you know, any character this far ahead is at a good spot, but Neith specifically, because she's so ability-based, right? And with hunters, levels give you the basic attack advantage, and most hunters have steroids to increase that. Well, Neith, she doesn't have one, but with the level advantage, you get the boon of the abilities and the basic attacks, which is a threat.
Exactly, and that's also the beauty of Neith. She has built-in sustain, so you can actually get away with the boots built first before the Soul Eater more than, let's say, another god can, like maybe Chiron.
And not to mention, Chiron doesn't have the attack speed steroid either. So you know, even all things the same, right? Yep. Doesn't even need the bonus attack speed versus him.
Well, see, that's why I find it so curious. I find it very curious that the Soul Eater is being built on the Chiron before the boots, because Chiron does have that heal built in just like a Neith. It's in his passive, so that lifesteal not necessarily as it's not the numero uno thing you need to be thinking about. The movement speed might have been the right way to go.
Yeah, but what might have swayed his judgment was that he was behind the Neith.
Right.
Neith has so much damage built into her kin, and he was probably getting poked out of lane a lot, you know, during the laning phase. So he was probably like, all right, I'll go for the safe bet. I won't go for damage. I'll go for the Soul Eater and try to weather the storm.
But Isurus has to feel pretty decent about their standing here. They have the much better late game. You're looking at only a couple thousand gold that you're behind here, and your Mercury has quietly continued farming here. He's got a 3-level advantage over the Hun bots, sitting on his boots plus a golden bow, not a golden boy, a golden bow, and a short sword as well. So a little bonus crit coming out there on top of his base crit out of the golden bow. Mercury's about to come significantly impact these fights, I think.
Yeah, definitely. That's actually one thing I've been impressed with the Mercury with Onur. He's been farming 10 times better than Combats. He's at least had a 2-level lead since level 7 or 8, I think.
Which is this is the light.
Oh, and they got a tower here as well in the mid lane. I mean, you can't leave Mercury unchecked for this long. Even throwing out that Neith ultimate, I mean, it'll stop him for the moment, but he's going to go deep and past the tower here. Onur.
He's gonna meet the Bellona, but here on the left-hand side, we've got NOzwer caught out in between 3 members of OMG. He's gonna have to use his ultimate to get out of the Zeus. I think the Zeus ultimate's a little more valuable than the Lawbringer.
Yeah, it's 2 ultimates used, still 3 remaining on the side of OMG. Luo did shoot out his to try to stop the Mercury split push.
Yeah, I would like to see a little bit more patience on those big AoE ults on the Zeus.
Oh, yeah.
He could use that maybe for this gold streak.
Last time, Tyr did get bursted down before they were able to rally to him, so maybe just trying to stop that there. Gold Fury going to be uncontested there. No ultimate necessary from the Isis in the meantime. Mercury does split push down a tier 1 tower, but not a great trade.
This is something that, you know, OMG was ahead 2,000-3,000 gold. They're playing like they're ahead 5 or 7. They're in the enemy jungle, and Isurus isn't contesting it. They're at a gold fury, and Isurus isn't contesting it. They're not that far ahead.
Well, they saw Onur split pushing in the mid lane there, and they know that Mercury's the only major threat in these team fights, and in he comes looking for Bluefish. The detonation's going to come out from the Ice ultimate. Will still go down to a made you look. And there you can see the impact Mercury can have. He should really be able to make an impact here if they're able to CC one more target. Chain Lightning going to do nicely there. The detonation going to be big coming out of the Zeus. Still looking for that wrap up as Onur going to move forward here with a special delivery momentarily. There it is. Not going to find what he was looking for though. And Luo going to be able to just walk out of this one, taking one more major look, but it will not crit.
Yeah, OMG cannot leave this Zeus uncontested. If you saw in that team fight, he was alone by the red buff, just waiting, dancing around, waiting for his cooldowns to come up, and OMG didn't pay any attention to him, and he made him pay.
OMG's got to keep hoping that the Zeus keeps that quick trigger finger on the ultimate, because that has been their saving grace right now. There hasn't been a real thunderstorm anywhere near these team fights, but it's interesting. OMG is ahead, and as you said, we're looking at the junglers. It's really up to Merc right now.
Yeah.
That's what Isurus has to look at right now. He's in a position, not just even, he's actually ahead despite his team being down. He's the one that's got
He's the one that's 4 levels ahead now.
Exactly.
Well,
how? 4?
4 levels.
4 levels ahead of the Hunbots, but in return, Neith sitting on a 4 now 3 level advantage over the Chiron at 19 and 16 apiece. She's closing in on that level 20.
Each of these teams wind up with their own individual sort of flag holder, I guess. Isurus got to look towards their Merc and protect him, and OMG's all looking at their Neith right now.
The big difference is Merc is all late game.
Yes, that's the scary part. I mean, that's the thing. You get wrapped up by a Merc and thrown into a wall. You're dead before you hit the ground. Neith can deal some damage, but she's going to turn into more of a team fight hunter as the game goes on, and look more for Neith to sort of try to control that Mercury. It's really important for Neith to start exploding weaves on that Merc to really control his destruction during the team fights.
No, the good news is they have Xing to kind of help peel as well. They have the Frostbound Hammer out from Bellona to help reduce some of that attack speed. Awareness in a lot of trouble, but Khepri ultimate will save him as the Neith ultimate was expended and ultimate traded. But they get the Zeus ultimate on top of that as well. This should make this tier 1 fairly free for Luo. Couple in hand should do it. Bellona, Roman Victor over the top. The bludgeon going to do a bunch of damage. Off the mark for Zeus. Doesn't matter. Spirit Ball is going to be enough to do it. Now Betony's the one that they're going to turn their attention to on the backside. Santor has picked up 1. Will toss the Chiron back into the fight. Bellona and MM going to move forward there. Ice ultimate going to heal up Luo. No way NOzwer can really effectively box this one out. That one will go credited to Santorsky as the Xing Tian with the dot. And now a tier 2 pending for OMG as Isurus is looking like they're having a hard time contending with the Chinese seed number 2.
4 players barking down the left-hand side, looking directly at the opponent and the tower at the same time. Here finally come the minions, so those backdoor protections are gone, and those basics from Isis, Bellona, and Neith combine to take out the tier 2. That's 1,500 more gold on the side of OMG, leading by about 7,000 gold.
Yeah, really impressed with the way MM is playing. He knew that that the Zeus speeds were down. Khepri ult was down, so he said, okay, guys, let's just dive this. I know it's safe to dive, but I know I can kill the Zeus before he gets any damage off. And they did just that.
Look at that golden hand. Isis is going to go ahead and back right now, and she'll purchase herself. The spear is online, so this is really the core right here. If you want to take a look at itemization and to just boil it down for mages, you You have movement speed, which comes with cooldown reduction or whatnot. A big power bank, which is that Book of Thoth. That's going to be a big chunk of power. And then finally, that penetration. That, once you have those 3 items online for a mage, you really start to get the ball rolling. And with those 3 items, Isis can really start to make a larger impact in these fights, more than she has already.
Yeah, I really like Ice's itemization. The Breastplate of Valor is really smart. She knows that the only way she can die is getting killed by the Mercury, getting bursted down by him. So all she needs to do is survive his burst, and they'll win the team fight.
Would you think about a Nemean line in the situation for some of these characters?
Sure, definitely. Against any auto attack god, Nemean line is extremely strong.
Wouldn't be surprised to see Bellona pick that up, but it's either going to be that or Nick Violet's.
Oh, wow. Look at it.
Going deep here. Santori's going to be wrapped up before he can get the ultimate out, but still does have that ultimate available. He's going to go ahead and grab it. Not going to find anybody as the beads are going to be used. There's a Zeus ultimate underneath the tower to try to protect. Wing Gust should be enough to pop that Khepri ultimate. Indeed, it is. It's the bludgeon over the top that will do it finally. And NOzwer, he's moved in as well, but the tier not going to find really anybody out of that. Gold Fury will be back up in about 15 seconds. And it looks like Isurus wants to continue to fight, but splitting the uprights there is Onur. In will go MM. And, well, Shield of the Underworld going to be reflecting a lot of the damage there. About a 550 damage crit coming out in the meantime. BlueWhale, he goes deep, and he finds yet another one. That's 2 members down now for Isurus, just simply poked out by OMG B.
I loved seeing this sequence right here because we saw both sides of the coin out of OMG. We saw what happens when they make a plan. Space was created by the Batz ultimate intentionally to kill that tier 1 tower. That was the game plan, right? When the Mercury came through, they took the opportunity. They got the counter engage as well. So not only can they adhere to their own plan, they can adjust the enemy plan as well. And now OMG just barking down a tier 2 given to them by Isurus.
Yeah, very smart team fighting by OMG. They knew that a lot of their cooldowns were down, so they all said retreat, retreat, retreat. Isurus kind of got baited in. They grouped up. Bellona saw got a 4-man ult, I believe it was, and they won the fight.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that Mercury ultimate missing. I mean, they're really trying to make the play to open up this Gold Fury. Was Isurus. Instead, it will be OMG that successfully does control the Golden Lady for the 3rd time this game. They will take the 2nd Gold Fury to their side. OMG pulling ahead 10,000 gold now through 25 minutes.
That's the big mark for me. I'm always looking at that 5 digits. Once you hit that 10,000 gold mark, it is a task for the opponent to really come down. That's 2 team fights, right? That's not just a single one in a Gold Fury. 10,000 gold is a strong
Is this
mark.
the big enough lead, Zatman? We were talking about it, looking like OMG needs to win this game somewhere between, 25 and 35 minutes is going to be their window. 10,000 gold, 10,000 experience, sufficient, you think?
100% sufficient. I expect OMG to take this game as long as they don't make any crucial mistakes or huge mistakes.
And honestly, the way OMG has...
Wait. Is that a Rod of Asclepius being built on the Isis?
Gotta move fast.
I mean, movement speed, bunch of power, and the bonus healing is really what's so curious about that.
Well, Isis, one of the beautiful things about Isis, and you can see as she had the cooldown reduction being thought of originally with those boots, is Isis is one of those gods that can work in 2 different ways, right? At the end of the day, she can just be, hey, mage, big damage, but she brings so much utility that helps out.
Does Rod of Asclepius, does that affect funeral rites, her passive?
I don't believe so.
I don't think it does.
HB5.
No.
That's HB5. Yeah. It's only healing. So it is literally only the ultimate that's really going to be affected by this.
Wow.
There once was a man.
Yeah, remember when, you play an assassin and you get dove by 2 people and they blow
What do you do?
Yeah, I mean, like, there's really no option. I mean, you saw him. He popped his beads and, like, tried to dash. Didn't even get his sprint out before he just exploded there. And, well, that's the risk of running a paper-thin melee assassin, is that you are stuck out of position often. The Extt dashes the wrong way there, actually, into the team and tries to turn it.
Yeah, it looked like he was he dashed to get away from the projectile through the wall, but unfortunately, the only direction he could get away from that projectile was into the enemy clutches.
Yeah.
Great play by OMG, forcing Isurus into a bad situation, now creating space to get that tower, and one more time, an egregious ultimate. I do not agree with that.
That one's tough to say. I mean, it does force OMG off, and it does build some time for their Mercury to get back. You'll notice as well, I think maybe even the bigger drop there was that the Khepri Shell 3 was used in that engagement, which means they will not have it available for this this forced engagement here at the Fire Giant, where NOzwer and the rest of Isurus are forced to fight, but it doesn't matter. Fire Giant already picked up, and here comes the fury of OMG, Extt. He's already dead. He just hasn't decided to be it yet, and down he will go. MM getting credited for that kill. Santorsky, he's gonna get the beads from Betony. This should be an easy follow-up. Spirit Ball was not on the mark. It doesn't matter. The knockup was. Betony trying to do what he can. Isis should have enough damage here. The ultimate gonna be used to heal up again. Spirit Spear Ball on the mark, one more hit. He is not gonna, he may take down actually to the passive here.
A little bit of split TPS right there. You notice the Hun Bat switched the target thinking that Khepri was a bad idea. Just not enough control damage onto a single target allows those kills to get away. But what's more important than kills on gods? Kills on Phoenixes. Right one goes down, mid lane being aggressed on as well right now. Santorsky doing a wonderful job of tanking the objective. 2 Phoenixes for the price of 1 right now. 16-6, read the kills. We're just under 30 minutes. And OMG is making their name very strong.
OMG is playing incredibly smart. They saw the Zeus ultimate was down. They said, okay, immediate Fire Giant. They really have no way to contend us.
Oh, yeah.
And then they take 2 Phoenixes. Instead of being greedy and going for the third, they see that Extt on the Chiron was coming up, had 10 seconds left, went for the safe play, and now they're just pushed down left.
Yeah, OMG, we were talking about how they were a little reluctant to take the objectives before. They're just looking for no doubters. They don't want to be in a situation, even though their composition's lending themselves to be in these situations, they don't want to be in a situation where Isurus can take something, because that's really, I mean, that's where the throws come from, right?
Look at I mean, basically what they've done here is, now they have the Mercury killer, right? They have Bellona.
Yeah.
She has Hide of the Nemean Lion, she has a Shieldy on the world, which means if he can't effectively engage into her, she's got the Frostbound Hammer to slow down the attack speed, she's got the long range from the whip as well, the Bulwark of Hope to prevent any major damage coming out when she gets into the threshold, Runeforge for bonus protections and HP, all very cost-effective items, all very focused in doing one thing, and one thing only, which is making sure that Mercury does not wipe the team. Do not be surprised to see a Runic Shield as a 6th item from Xing as well, to get a little bit of extra anti-attack speed, and Exploded is Onur. I mean, they could pick up a Witchblade on anyone here. Really, they have so many options to continue marginalizing how much impact this Mercury can have, and he's the only option that Isurus has.
Exactly, Bart. OMG knew Isurus' win condition, and that was the Mercury late game, and they itemized perfectly for that.
Yeah, I mean, the surrender vote is up. Isurus knows that the writing is on the wall. Ladies and gentlemen, the 3rd Phoenix has fallen, and right now the Chinese team OMG is pushing in onto the Titan. The damage is down, so is the Circle of Protection. Players are being aggressed on, and the Titan taking damage, halfway dead.
Isurus is just throwing out pot shots from the well, and indeed, the Titan will fall 17-6 in just under 30 minutes, right at the point where they absolutely needed to win. OMG B does, and well, it was a very successful strategy. Was that the strategy? I mean, they drafted into it, and they looked like they had this early in composition. Do you think they were forced to adjust that seeing the Mercury pick, or do you think that they drafted into the Mercury on purpose?
I think they just had a game plan of where they wanted to be aggressive early. OMGB, especially China teams in general, are known to be aggressive. They picked a Neith that allows them to be dominant in lane, and you saw how much attention they paid to that purple and red buff of Isurus.
Yeah, well, one of the things for me, I think, when I mentioned it earlier about how OMG was able to utilize their plan and then adjust right in that mid lane, I think that was a microcosm of the entire game itself. Right. OMG had a plan going forward, and then when Mercury came, Mercury started cutting through this team like a hot knife through butter, right? Well, what does OMG do? They go ahead, bring out the Bellona, and just itemize her to be the rock to the Mercury scissors. So they adjust correctly, OMG wind up with the win.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, I think where this game goes topsy-turvy is when Isurus tries to make that play when their tier 2 goes down. They use the Mercury ultimate to try to catch up, and it just whiffed. And had he hit a couple people, maybe they wipe, or, you know, a few members, they get the Gold Fury, they start turning this one around, but unfortunately, didn't go their way. They lose a few, and Isurus will be the first team eliminated from the Smite World Championship here. They have lost out of the winners round, but thank you very much, of course, to the boys from Latin America for coming over. And thank you very much to my co-commentators, guys. Let's toss it back over to the analysts one more time. Golden Boy, take it away. Tell us what you saw.
Thank you so much, Bart. What I saw was me being right 2 times in a row. I mean, seriously, like, come on, at some point, you know, just listen to the fat guy. That's all I ask. You know,
I'm there with you, man. What are you trying to say?
You did not call that.
I'm just gonna go. I'm just gonna let you predict first, and I'm just gonna follow everything.
Never again. No, I'm actually always gonna predict and go against everything you guys say.
All right.
No, but seriously, awesome game for OMG. A huge win for them. Unfortunate for Isurus, though. You know, they had a tough run here at the Smite World Championships. I mean, going up first against Epsilon, getting shut out, and then, you know, facing off against China's OMG, and just could not hang. But here goes your Logitech First Blood, and, you know, Anatoly, break this down for us.
So basically, there was a gank from the Humbats, and Xing just doing Xing things. He got an easy kill on the Chiron, and on top of that First Blood, they were able to invade the purple buff, which was actually the theme of the game for the most part. They just consistently invaded the purple buff.
They invaded purple buff like 3 or 4 times. It was really sad for the Hunter player for Isurus.
Yeah, they just could not seem to get anything going, Isurus. And you know, when they did have that shining light, that one opportunity, OMG was just there to shut them down every single time. So with them moving on to the next round here, they will face off against, I believe it's going to be Paradigm.
Yes.
So that's going to be a tough one.
I mean,
it goes without saying.
When you lose the first round, you're going up against a first seeder, you're getting eliminated. I'd say facing Paradigm's a little bit better than going home, though, to be fair, you know? So they have that to hold, but it's going to be a rough time for OMG tomorrow on.
Yeah, I mean, finishing top 8 there, right, without a doubt is huge for OMG, and especially in a very, very tough pool. I mean, they had quite the game against Pain Gaming there, you know, in that second matchup of the day. A lot of people felt good about OMG going up against Pain, but then OMG, they just crumbled under that pressure, and really shining this time around. That gives them that opportunity to move forward till tomorrow. Huge wins for them.
I think team composition-wise, they, instead of playing the Circuit Thor, OMG ran a Bellona this time in Soul Lane, which allows them a little bit more flexibility if they couldn't snowball early, but they were able to get the snowball going early, and then Bellona also, a great game coming out.
Let's talk about the post-game stats here. Anatoly, why don't you run us through this here? What are some of the things that have stood out to you in the player damage category?
So it was very difficult for the Mercury to go off because every time he would dive the backline, the Isis ultimate would just be there waiting for him, and there was nothing much he could do. The Neith was able to get a triple kill somewhere in the middle of the game where the Bellona and the Xing was able to dive the backline and set up the Neith for a lot of easy kills there, which resulted in a lot of player damage for her.
Yeah, again, you have to highlight how talented OMG was in this matchup, but this triple kill, as a matter of fact, that we want to talk about, you know, this Neith triple kill, very, very good stuff out of OMG again. I'm going to keep saying that because I'm so impressed by them.
Yeah, Luo played phenomenally in this match, and just all 3 of these kills were kind of just like picking off the players in the back line, and you could see Khepri trying to escape, run straight into Neith, and then finally Chiron coming out of that Khepri also got picked up and actually sniped over the wall with that heal.
Yeah, that Xing double ulti would just set her up for such easy kills,
Yeah, and speaking of Xing, because we haven't really, you know, had a chance much to talk about. Everyone's been really focused on banning Xing, and if you are Paradigm, certainly you're keeping that into consideration because that gave OMG a great opportunity to be able to capitalize on their opponents.
So funny enough, at the Super Regionals, the first matchup, Paradigm was actually almost wasn't even here. They actually almost got eliminated by Dignitas. It was a team that they didn't prepare for because they thought they would walk over and 3-0 them. They prepared more for their second round matchup, Fnatic. And actually, Dignitas brought them to all 5 games. And the 2 games that Dignitas won, they played Xing and destroyed the Soul Lane. After that, Paradigm banded every single game for the rest of the tournament. So I think Paradigm are pretty well versed in this god. So I don't know. This Xing right now is a top 2 Soul Laner alongside Bellona. So these are the 2 gods I expect to see battling it out for most of the tournament.
Kiri, your thoughts?
I agree. Xing is just so strong in the game.
Yeah.
He just brings so much CC, so much sustain, so much control of the fight.
Yeah, just the presence alone has been something to take note of. Again, just awesome run there from OMG. What about for you, Anatoly? Who else in this game actually shined?
Necessarily not in the game, but like their strategy changed so well. And if they just execute this strategy against Paradigm, but I don't necessarily think that they will because the Xing is going to be banned. An aggressive team like OMG B wanting to get these gods like the Bellona, like the Xing, Paradigm's going to have to make sure that they don't allow them to do it.
And taking a look at some of these stats here, attack buff actually getting picked up 89% of the time from OMG.
That's rough.
But Gold Fury, you had Isurus pick one off, right? You had Isurus get one, but really just OMG, they were on that consistently. Fire Giant pickup as well, obviously huge for them, led to that victory for sure.
You know, and this is the OMG we kind of expected to see coming in here. A lot of heavy invades, a lot of aggression, and when it doesn't work, it doesn't work. We saw it against Pain. They weren't able to get rolling, and they couldn't snowball. However, in this second round matchup, they were able to take it to Isurus and advance on. Unfortunately, though, Isurus is going to be falling.
So, Anatoly, you are OMG. You just defeated Isurus. You look great. You feel like, you know, this was a huge opportunity for you. Now you know you have to face Paradigm tomorrow. It is almost 7 o'clock here. You have plenty of time to get rest. What do you do before you go to sleep? Do you actually gather together, talk as a team, figure out, okay, can we, you know, change our strategy? Should they change their strategy of consistent aggression? Or you know, just keep with it?
They should definitely change their strategy. From tomorrow, considered today was the best of 1. Tomorrow's the best of 3. Everything changes. They have to do their homework. They have to know what are like some of the strategies that Paradigm do run, and they have to prepare for at least 2 to 3 of them, and then they have to come up with their own strategies to kind of counter that. So there's going to be a lot of homework and a lot of time to prepare for Paradigm. And there's more footage of Paradigm than there is of OMG. So in that regard, there's more homework available for OMG.
What about for you, Kiwi?
I agree totally. They need to prepare for like 2 or 3 strategies because Paradigm can just change and adapt real quickly. They're a really experienced team, and they, yeah.
Yeah, just again, very talented squad. Paradigm is, so it's going to be tough. But coming up next, though, we have Avant-Garde versus QG Reapers, folks. This is going to be our final game of the broadcast for day 1 here at the Smite World Championships. It's been incredible so far, and we thank you guys so much for joining us. Now, this matchup is going to begin in just a minute, but before we do, we're going to go to a quick break, and we'll see you on the other side.
Alright, so you know how sometimes you wear a dead animal on your head? Well, that's where Shibalanke comes in, hidden Jaguar Sun. You see, Shibalanke and his brother Hunahpu, known as the Hero Twins, knew that their lives were leading towards the ultimate boss battle, a confrontation with the Lords of Death, chiefs of the underworld who murdered their dearest papa. However, they were not yet ready. They were woefully underleveled and would need to spend time blowing and playing with balls. By which I mean blowguns in the game pits, obviously. Anyway, after grinding for a bit, they decided to test their strength, and who better to fight than the evil bird lord, Seven Macaw? After all, he replaced his teeth with jewels and declared himself the sun and the moon, so he was kind of asking for it. Well, the Hero Twins fired their blowguns and knocked out some of the bird lord's teeth, who responded by tearing Hunahpu's arm off. Welp, time to change strategies. The twins went and got an elderly couple to pretend to be dentists, and when Seven Macaw came to get his teeth fixed, they pulled the rest of them out and replaced them with white corn. Boom, son, get dunked. The oversized bird was so humiliated, he died of despair. Oh, and the Hero Twins went on to avenge their father, and Shibalanke became the moon. So everyone was happy. Well, except the bird. He's still dead. Did you know YouTube has subscription functionality? It's true. Just click that subscribe button and prove me right. Heck.
What is up, everyone? Welcome. I'm joined by hi-rez Holt here, the environment art director, and I believe the most recent project you've done is the new Chinese joust map. Have you guys seen the new map? Do you guys like the new map? What was the inspiration for this new Chinese joust map?
Well, obviously, we wanted to do a map in the Chinese pantheon for quite a while. The culture, the architecture, the art, it's just so rich. And so with this, we went the Sun Wukong legend. So it features the Sky Palace, you've got the Jade Empire's castle, and it's really, really nice.
So beyond the environment, the NPCs as well have also been changed. What did you guys do to that?
Well, with the NPCs, you know, our character team, animation team went above and beyond, as always. We've touched all of them. They've all have a rich background in that Chinese culture. They different creatures, you know, with the different buff camps. We've touched the towers, the phoenixes, all brand new, all Chinese, all ready to go.
What's your favorite part of the new map?
Well, actually, it's something we started last year. So at the last SWC, we introduced the new Conquest map. And one of the big things we did, which was kind of new to Smite, is we blew out the sides. We have the beach lane, we have the lava side. We made the world seem as big, you know, to be the battleground of the gods. In this map, we've taken it to the next level. It's on floating islands, it's in the sky, it's all Vista. So you really get that sense that you're just up there fighting in the clouds.
I mean, my favorite part, you know, you have the Jade Emperor, the Knights, or as the minions coming from the red side, and then on the blue side, you have Sun Wukong's monkey army. What else in there is there like homages to Sun Wukong?
Well, we have the Peach Orchard, which is mentioned in the legend. Obviously, you know, the Emperor's Castle is there. But yeah, it's the soldiers, you know, representing the Jade Emperor on one side, and then you have the demons and the beast from the other side that are invading.
So this is your second Smite World Championship. Are you enjoying it?
It's yours too.
That's right.
So I'm really, really enjoying it. It's not often you get this chance to kind of sit in the stands, watch the games, enjoy the sport, enjoy the game that you made with the fans. And it's incredible. Like, I love all of them. The fans are great. The people, obviously, that I work with, I love. And, you know, meeting the teams, meeting these people I see online every day, it's just incredible.
Well, thank you so much, Holt. And we'll be right back, guys, right after this break.
My name is Riley Unzelman, and my in-game name is Incon. The way I actually wound up in esports was playing ranked on the leaderboards, which anybody can do. Anybody can just go and play ranked in Smite as long as you have a level 30 account. I played out a long time, probably more than I should have, honestly, at that point in my life. But I got to #1 on the ranked leaderboard, which got me a trial with Denial Esports, which was at the time the 4th place team in North America.
Riley throws himself 100% into the goals that he sets for himself. He works incredibly hard to make something that's kind of a crazy dream or a crazy goal a reality, and I think his success definitely comes out of that.
I think his success has been really cool. I've been with him since the beginning, so I've watched him rise up, watched him get more and more popular, get better at the game, get onto better teams, and it's been really, really cool to see.
Tourette's has presented me with an interesting opportunity in the world of professional gaming. A lot of people growing up, whenever you have any sort of disability, they tell you, oh, well, this will be harder, or you won't be able to do this. And I think that gives a lot of people drive to just go and do it to spite people. And that's not a bad thing. It's the drive in the inside that tells you I can do whatever I'm going to do. I may have to work harder and I may have to work longer, but I'm going to work for it and I'm going to achieve that. And that was for me in professional gaming.
I think he deals with Tourette's with humor. In a lot of ways, he's sort of built a joke around his community that's kind of the thing that people notice about him.
When you're trying to see where the enemy is and your eyes are closed every half a second, it gets a little bit more difficult trying to deduce where the enemy is going to move.
I feel like it has maybe helped set him apart a little bit from the rest of the pack. It's something that's unique to him, and it kind of shows people that, hey, I have this disease, I have this thing that happens to me, it's a bad thing, but I don't let it affect me. I'm able to power through it.
The community in Smite has been so supportive of me from day one, telling me that you can do this, coming out to my streams, watching YouTube videos, hanging out with me at LANs, all these super exciting things. And getting to meet those kind of people has brought me so much closer to Smite, and knowing that professional gaming is more about just the game itself. It's about meeting people, it's about making lifelong friends.
Sometimes you have to take time for yourself because working 15 hours a day, 7 days a week isn't sustainable. So he generally picks about one day, and that's the day that he spends with his family and he spends with his friends and he spends taking care of himself.
I love to go outside, and one of my favorite things to do is just walk around the beauty of Arkansas and take a breath away from the professional gaming, take a breath away from the stress, and just really enjoy the moment that you're in. My favorite part of the community is the interaction that you get from streaming on Twitch. You get a direct activity feed with the community. You can talk with your fans live every day while you're playing. If I had a message for the other teams, it would be everybody to keep your chins up. Not everybody can make Worlds. We didn't make Worlds this time. We're sticking together. You got to keep it going through. You got to stay strong, keep the practice up, keep your scrims up, stay positive, stay together, and more importantly, just be friends with each other. When you're friends with your teammates, you will always play better. That's why some of the best people in sports have close bonds that last for life.